You only say perception is in the eye of the beholder. When this movie first came out, it didn't do as good as the original, but the basic plot and the overall cast was a little bit better. And it had a couple of iconic black actors in it that, for history's standpoint, it should be on a list if you like blaxploitation cinema, especially or horror blaxploitation cinema. This is a sequel to Blacula called Scream, Blacula Scream. Although its voodoo subplot is a little bit confusing, for me it's a good B-level movie on a Sunday afternoon. And actually, I rewatched this to do this podcast on a Sunday afternoon. Now, it came out in '73. Sequel to Blacula, focusing on a resurrection of the vampire Mama Waldy, who was put in the state by the original Dracula. AIP, International Pictures, put it together with Power Productions, and it was the acting debut of Richard Lawson. Now, in this one, dying voodoo queen Mama Loa chooses adopted son Lisa Fortier as his successor, leaving her arrogant biological son Willis outraged. Now, according to historians, of course, Fortier is a key word in Quebecois, Acadian, and Cajun lineage. So the Pam Grier character is probably a descendant of the Acadian expulsion, which explains a lot of the voodoo. Now, seeking revenge, he buys the bones of Prince Mamawaldi, otherwise known as Vampire Blacula, from the former shaman of the voodoo cult, and uses voodoo to resurrect the vampire to do his bidding, sort of like a Dark Shadows situation. However, while it brings Blacula back to life, he bites Willis upon awakening. Willis now finds himself in a curse of his own doing, made into a vampire hungering for blood, and a slave to the creature he sought to control. Now, there's very few scenes in the movie that allude to the serious plots and subplots of the first movie, but again, with William H. Marshall as Blacula, one of the best Dracula characters of all time, he just eats up literally every scene. And my favorite, of course, he turns to a bat who seems to be quite fast. He only flies like 15 seconds and he's back in his house. So again, this one, Justin Carter, an ex-police officer with a large collection of acquired African antiques and an interest in the cult, begins to investigate the murders caused by Mama Waldy and his growing vampire horde. Now, Justin meets Mama Waldy at a party. Justin hosts to display the African collection pieces before being moved to the university's museum. They discuss the artifacts, unbeknown to anyone else, that were from the region of Africa Mama Waldy hails, including pieces of jewelry once worn by his late wife, Luva. Mama Waldy also meets Justin's girlfriend, Lisa Fortier, at the party, and discovers that Lisa is naturally adept at voodoo. Lisa discovers Mama Waldy's true nature after her foreign friend Gloria falls victim to his bite and is resurrected as a vampire who nearly feeds on her, and not for Mama Waldy's intervention. Now, he gets horny for that woman. She cuts her hand, and for some reason, he fixates on her. He later asks for help to cure him of the vampire curse. Mama Waldy, aware of police interest to apprehend Lisa, orders his minions to safeguard the house to avoid any distractions, threatening harsh consequences to those who defy his orders. Now, Justin, with the help of LAPD Lieutenant Harley Dunlop, played by all people Esterhaus, Michael Conrad from Hill Street Blues fame, pulled together several other cops to go to Mama Waldy's residence to investigate the recent deaths. While Lisa is performing the ritual to cure Mama Waldy, using a voodoo doll fashioned to look like him, Justin, Harley, and their men raid the house, fighting against Mama Waldy's vampire minions, which include several of their friends. Willis is killed during his scuffle. Justin manages to find Lisa and Mama Waldy and interrupts the ritual. Lisa refused to help Mama Waldy after she witnesses him kill the other police officers, including Harley, in the house in a fit of rage. After realizing that Lisa is no longer willing to help him, Mama Waldy rejects his human nature and attacks Justin when he calls the prince by his real name, to which Mama Waldy insists his name is Blacula. Just as Justin is about to be bitten, Lisa stops Mama Waldy by stabbing his voodoo doll with a wooden arrow. As she continues to stab the doll, Mama Waldy screams out in agony. Now, Pam Grier as Lisa Fortier, gorgeous as the day long, is kind of underused in this, but again, it was an early part of her career. Now, the film was released theatrically by AIP in June '73, with I guess $1 million at the box office. The film was released on DVD by MGM in 2004 as part of its Soul Cinema series. In 2010, the film was digitized in high definition and broadcast on MGM HD. In 2015, Scream Factory released the film on Blu-ray in 1080p as a double feature with Blacula. Now, the film unfortunately did not perform as well as the predecessor and drew mixed reviews. Roger Ebert gave the film 1.5 stars, as it shows some evidence of having been made in a hurry with limited funds. However, his compatriot Gene Siskel gave the film 3.5 stars out of 4 and wrote, "I am pleased to report that Scream Blacula Scream, a sequel, is better than the original. A successful sequel is a rarity, but that one doesn't come as a surprise, because the director Bob Keljan, the man responsible for Count Yorga Vampire and The Return of Count Yorga, two of the most frightening horror films ever made." The LA Times said the sequel is far superior to the original. Now, the movie itself, it just seemed like the character of Blacula was toned back. The original movie had a lot of juxtaposition, a lot of soliloquies, a lot of speeches. Now, in 1980, the Medved brothers call it the worst blaxploitation movie ever, and it's not. But they said they freely admit that they chose Scream Blacula Scream as much for a rowdy crowd at a late-night Skid Row theater screening as for the action on screen. So this was made for drive-ins and Skid Rows, Montreal, Chicago, whatever. But what's interesting about this movie has been translated. There's a French dub on this, so to see Blacula talk like half Acadian, half Quebecois, kind of a dramatic actor is quite jarring. Now, Gordon Pinson, who played the cop investigator in the first movie, and he was the token white man in the movie pretty much. And you see Michael Conrad in this one, he had a bit of character actor. But this, like I said, why this works for me, it is a vampire movie. Just like a zombie movie, you know what you're going to get. It's going to start off slow. There's a little bit of mystery. But Pam Grier, again, known to be naked, known to be very luminous, and bikinis and other movies. Here, they kind of play down her physical advantages, like her looks and her boobs. And maybe people went to see it because they think you're going to see Pam Grier nude, and she's not nude in this movie, so that hurt the money. But there was other movies with Pam Grier that she was nude that did a lot more money, but they kind of sold her out. But this one, her soft performance is quite good. But William Marshall, again, tall, very handsome, very good at his role, and again, coming off his appearance on Star Trek, and coming off, being a character actor for years, really puts it together. Now, it's kind of weird how this puts together, ladies and gentlemen. William Marshall would not be the type of person that you think would be working as a what do you call a vampire in blaxploitation movies. He was a very strong actor. But for me, Scream Blacula, Scream 2.5 stars. It's a good for a Sunday afternoon. You're not thinking when you watch it. You know what the plot's going to be. You know what's going to happen. But the two scenes that really stands out for me, beside the vampire, turns of vampire, when he meets up with the pimps, and one of the pimps calls him faggot, which I think was one of the few times faggot was used in a blaxploitation movie at that time. It's kind of freaky. Could you not recognize he's a vampire? I mean, it's just giving it away. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our vintage blaxploitation movies, let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, or share.